So just waiting for this to finally record and be live. But hi, everybody. This is Carsten Voges, and you're watching or listening to our LinkedIn Live by Lean42. We at Lean42, we are CIO advisors in Europe and North America, and we are hosting the Lean Leader Summit, a big conference with more than 100 participants in July in Munich. And I'm very excited and delighted to have Wolfgang with me today. And he is one of our core speakers. And I'm excited to have you today with me here, Wolfgang. Let us know a little bit about yourself, your background, and then dive into your topic afterwards.
Sure. Yeah, I think today I'm speaking to you as president of Intersection Group, which is a not-for-profit association, according to Austrian law, with the only purpose to help people create better enterprises. We founded Intersection Group 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago, driven by some kind of desperation with the impact I was having with enterprise architecture. So I've started my career as an enterprise architect. Now we're moving the topic and calling it more enterprise design for reasons, and I will talk about it in Munich in July. Yeah, so that's my background, and this not-for-profit association, together with our growing community, we develop EDGI, which is an open source toolkit for doing enterprise design and architecture. So we see enterprise architecture as one discipline in this collaborative approach. Yeah, and I'm one of 2 founders and one of 2 presidents. We're running that as a hobby currently.
A hobby, I like that. As architects, you sometimes feel your work is a hobby because you struggle, you fight a lot of like upstream battles, and you need to bring in a lot of passion for it because it's spanning across the whole organization, working with so many stakeholders. You can get neglected easily, you can get forgotten easily, so it's always something where you need like some hobby or passion aspect to it.
I mean, that's my day job. I'm also working for Austrian Power Grid as an enterprise architect. So in daytime and in weekends and so on, we work on making future happen and to overcome the obstacles we all know. So if you're seasoned, we know the blockers, we know the business IT alignment problems, we know that we don't have the impact that we would need to really architect or design enterprises. And that's also what my talk is all about.
Excellent. Yeah, so why don't you, first of all, just a short information. If you want to see more from Wolfgang and a lot of other practitioners, digital leaders, come join us in Munich, July 3rd and 4th at the Lean Leader Summit. But also, if you have questions, feel free to ask them, comment them here on LinkedIn. If it's live, we might pick them up and answer them. Or if it's afterwards, Wolfgang and I will monitor here and also respond. So feel free to hit us up with questions here. But let's first look at your talk. It's titled "How to Set Up an Impactful Collaborative Enterprise Architecture Practice." So a lot of parts in that. So you already mentioned you're kind of like an enterprise architect. What for you is kind of like how did you come up with that impactful collaborative aspects, and what's kind of like key aspects for you in there?
Yeah. I think enterprise architecture has been around about 4 decades ago when Mr. Zachman and Zachman Framework, we know the history, and even after those 3 or 4 decades, we still see awkward enterprises and ill-designed architectures, out of control IT application landscapes. So that's why I want to have more impact for enterprise architects, because if we're honest enough, big business decisions are made somewhere else, and they usually impact also the IT part of the enterprise architecture. So isn't the CEO maybe the most powerful enterprise architect? So we are having this discussion. And so the question is, what can be your role to bring architecture principles to life, to help companies in the direction of a better enterprise architecture or better enterprise design if you're not directly reporting to the C-suite, because most of us aren't directly reporting to the CEO. Some are talking to the CIO. We are still an IT discipline, and there's still this huge chasm between IT and business, even after decades of discussing business IT alignment. And that all leads to the problem that not many enterprise architects, at least that I know, have real impact on enterprise architects, which leads to decaying IT architecture. So you can see it when you look at applications and interfaces, modularization aspects, loose coupling is absent in most redundant data. It's a mess. IT is still a mess in all 99% of companies that I know. So that's sometimes a bit frustrating but I'm not in Munich to frustrate the audience. So that's what my talk is all about. So with Intersection Group, we envision a different future, and maybe a key aspect of this new way to do it is collaborative, which means we don't think that enterprise architects should architect alone, because there are so many hundreds, maybe thousands of little architects in a company. You have process designers, service designers, product designers, the solution teams, solution architects. So everybody shapes the enterprise on a micro level, maybe each and every day. And that's the reason why Edgy, which is our open source tool, if you go to enterprise.design, you can have a look at it, is designed to involve those broad community. We want them to be part of a coherent, collaborative enterprise design / architecture approach. So let's move away from the big top-down architect. We also have discussed that in Munich several times in previous conferences. We know that, we should remove our crown and get to the ground floor. There are some books, The Architect's Elevator, 100% true. But how can we ever achieve that if we have deliverables, architecture languages, architecture models and maps and tools and so on, that are too complicated to connect people and the many people we need in this collaborative process? Because that's what we do currently. We have languages, we have our tools, but they are not known outside of this tiny community, and we are a tiny community. We must be aware that we may have maybe 1% of real architecture work is done by enterprise architects, and we have tools and we have methods that exclude others because they are still, I'm not sure if ugly is the right word, overly complex and huge.
Mm.
That's what we want to change with Edgy.
Mm. It's interesting how you mentioned a couple points, and I just wanted to see that I've seen kind of like architects also struggling with kind of like their role and their position in the organization. But I think it's also something where, coming to your point of like collaborative, I would even like go beyond that, or like stretch it even further to say we're moving away from just being a governor and kind of like trying to limit or restrict or steer, and moving towards more being an influencer, like a social media influencer, but kind of like really working within your organization and trying to influence decisions that go in the right direction and help the organization decouple their business capabilities, so their activities on the business side, but also decoupling or flexibilizing their IT infrastructure. So it is something where I've seen a lot of like successful organizations move more towards kind of like an influencer kind of model.
Yeah, I like to call it a gardener role, because it's not only influencing decisions, it's not only about making decisions. There's also, every decision is also a design choice. Even if the C-suite, if they make a big decision, we buy this company, we do a merger or something, they decide, so you can't really separate designing from deciding. Yet design and architecture is quite absent in the management roles. That's not what they learn at business schools. They learn to decide by gut feeling. That's not quite often not really design what they are doing. So we must be aware. Yes, we should influence decisions in political way, but we should also create maps and models, use our strong analytical skills, loose coupling, modularization, what belongs together, like in capabilities or processes and so on, used our awesome skills there and create maps that are beautiful, where people can connect and co-create. I've never seen that people opened any enterprise architecture tool in the boardroom and they draw some model together. So we must connect the world of collaborative modeling, drawing, sketching, this creative part, go to a flip chart and use your pen, and have a gradual step into your meta model, into your architecture repository. You must get more and more precision, but and that's the skill. We can't overstrain them by complex meta modeling issues. So we must find a way how to connect modeling and drawing with our sometimes nerdy and engineering mindset and Archimede diagrams and so on.
Hmm. How much do you, or where do you see organizations struggle the most with kind of like adopting the more collaborative way and also the more fully enterprise design on like approach, where it's not only kind of like IT architecture, but really kind of like the whole enterprise design?
If you look at larger corporations, you usually have all kinds of design and architecture disciplines. There are service designers, there are process managers, there are product designers, product owners, there are scrum masters and domain-driven designers and all kinds of designers. And they struggle in connecting their concepts. If you ever tried to connect customer journeys, which is a big concept in the service design and user experience world, with capabilities, which is our concept, we must be honest enough to say capabilities have not made it to strategic management where it should be. So what we see today with enterprise architects, they have their tool, they play around with capabilities, and they need them. And on the other hand, you have the journeys of UXers, and then you have the goals and the SWOT and totally different language, totally different concepts in the management room, for example. And then you have the process management people, and they have their own universe. So to enable a collaborative co-design approach means that you must somehow connect their view to the world and the concepts and the tools and so on, and meet what we call the intersections. For example, bring together architects, enterprise architects, service design people to what we call a negotiation space. Everybody brings their models, and then you can bridge between the capabilities you need to support a certain customer journey, for example. We struggle in this interdisciplinary communication because we don't have the concepts to bridge them.
Yeah. Is it something where you feel kind of like these the discipline of like the business architecture, and Wendy Kuhn is also like she's the president of the Business Architecture Guild, and will also be there. Sees kind of like that, like strengthening more the business architecture sides helps kind of like with that connection making. How do you see like business architecture coming in the picture?
Business architecture is keyed in connecting the dots. But maybe one difference with the Business Architecture Guild is that we don't see enterprise design as a discipline, as a community. It's the glue between disciplines. And still, for me, in my eyes, the meta model and the bespoke and all the community around is still driven from an IT mindset. And for me, the meta model I see in bespoke, but I've discussed already with Winde and the Business Architecture Guild, is still too complex, and it's not accepted by executives and by service designers and so on. So what we believe, what we see here is another discipline that is small, even smaller than enterprise architect, but growing. That's good. That's a good news here. But totally absent, and people don't get what they are doing outside of this small community. And that's the problem. Even if I really admire much of the work, and they also influenced a lot of edgy, of course. We have also capabilities processes, no need to invent such concepts, but we are a bit critical about the work of the Business Architecture Guild, and maybe that's also the reason why we created Edgy, which is, we believe, stronger connected to experienced people, stronger connected to organizational design, which are topics that are a bit weak in the business architecture. But we are struggling in similar issues. Let's say it that way.
Interesting. If you're listening to this live, feel free to also just put a comment here on LinkedIn or ask a question. We're happy to answer that. And just a short plug as well, if you liked what we talked about today and want to see kind of like some more similar topics, you might find them in LinkedIn on like past recordings, but also we do have like the Lean 42 Academy, which you can join for free, and all those recordings are there afterwards as well. So join it, growth, because that really is like one of the drivers for us to also do host this event, but also I know it from you, Wolfgang. It's also something very dear to your heart. The growing, the learning, the exchange of thoughts and ideas, and networking with people, and like having contact, and really using a coffee break or lunch or whatever it is to discuss some more of the things that we just talked about. So that's always what I think we need to grow more capacity in our spaces, be it kind of like the business architecture, the enterprise architecture, or the overarching enterprise design perspectives. And what coming to that kind of like learning and growth part, other than of course coming to the Lean Leader Summit and going to your session, what are some pointers that you want to give people where they should read or look at and learn more?
Yeah. What I often see in younger enterprise architects is that they typically have a technical education, IT or something related, engineering, so they are analytical thinkers. That's not their weakness. And of course, then you can learn Bespoke and TOGAF and so on, and it's a good foundation. There are excellent books on enterprise architecture, but they're stressing the analytical parts, the engineering parts of it. I think that the game changer in my career was attending a systemic coaching education, how to ask questions, how to intervene in a system, how to work with existing political relationships. Yeah, because that's what you mentioned, influencing decisions. It's at least 50, if not more, % of your work is communication. And if you learn how to ask questions, and if you are curious to listen and listen, that's what I've learned in this education. So I would always recommend, if you're a younger enterprise architect, don't focus on analytical and the meta and the technical aspects of enterprise architecture. Educate yourself in social skills, asking questions. Coaching is a powerful thing, and because that means that you step by step become a trusted advisor. That's what you want to become. You must gain trust in your role. People must listen to you, but first you must learn to listen. That most engineers are not as good in listening as in providing solutions, because that's what we've learned. A problem, that's the solution. Yeah.
Huh.
So that's my recommendation.
Huh. No, very good point. I think the especially the soft skills, the communication, influencing skills, is something that we really need to work on and have something. It's also we actually do have expanded like the Lean conference over the last couple of years to also reflect that in our agenda, and it's also something that I was once responsible for like the EA department in a big financial institution in the US, and my forte was really to connecting lots of people and like um, being the kind of like spoken hub person. And I was walking down with another enterprise architect like to the canteen, and he was like, everybody knows you, like everybody says hi Carsten, hi Carsten, like is there anybody in this organization that doesn't know you? And I think that was kind of like, I afterwards I reflected on like, maybe that's like one of the key aspects to,
Yes.
like, for me at least, it was to be successful there, was to be very embedded in the organization and know a lot of people, and um, helping influence decisions, design them, guide them.
Yes.
But like one of the parts is also to have a lot of like coffees here and there with people, and working on your influencing and communication, and not kind of like working on your
Yeah.
model or drawing something in kind of like your own office, but being out there and seen there, and help people
Yes.
design and guide decisions.
And try to become a trusted advisor of
Mm,
management, middle management, for example. That's not easy to get there and to get a trusted advisor to them, but you need somebody who helps you with politics. Because if you make a
mm,
suggestion or a future state architecture, there's always somebody who loses. So if you do a big change in the enterprise architecture, you
yeah,
introduce a platform, or you change to a standard software to the some IT stuff. There are some application owners and there are some B managers, B-level managers that lose. They lose impact, they lose their software, they lose their
mm,
people, and so on. And there's this resistance to change. And usually, you as an enterprise architect or designer, you don't have the political power to do that change. You need some friends on the higher places. And yeah, that's the true challenge to impact.
cool.
But you need simple deliverables. Yeah, you need simple maps, and so okay, to visualize your future state, or the idea you've been created together with other people. So for us, and that's why we found it, why we created Edgy, the simplicity and beauty of your maps, stories you tell about your future vision, or the future state you worked on with many co-designers. If you present it in a beautiful, in a simple way, in a compelling way, then it's the also important aspect to influence decisions in this direction.
Yeah, but that's, I think, where simplicity is always something from an engineering background you always struggle with, because you think of kind of like the feature and the aspects and being always 100% correct,
Yeah,
which leads to more complication, versus like simplified omits things, which is very hard for
yeah,
IT or engineering
yes.
backgrounds.
Storytelling, that's also maybe some recommendation. Storytelling is a powerful thing.
Well,
There are books, there are courses. We usually try to convey our future state in the form of complex Archimate, whatever diagrams, but we should convey it in the form of stories, what's better for people,
mm,
and speak more to the usual person, to the usual human being that likes stories and like to understand where are we going and why, and isn't that future beautiful? So
mm,
it's this envisioning, but together with management, because usually they need to provide the vision together with you.
true. Very good. Delightful last words.
Yeah.
um, we're up here on our time. Thank you so much for chatting today, and I'm very excited about your talk, which is exactly 1 month from today. So,
Is it? Oh yeah, it is.
so
Yeah, looking forward to meet you all in Munich. It's my fifth or sixth Lean conference, so I can't wait to be there again. Will be a pleasure.
yes, we're looking forward to have you back. Um, Just here, last reminder, July 3rd and 4th in Munich. 3rd is just like the evening network reception, coming everybody together, and 4th is then all the good content. I think most of the talks, or all the talks, will be in English. There might be one or two in German, but only when we have like parallel tracks. So hopefully to see you all there, and welcome back to the summit, Wolfgang, and then see you in Munich.
See you soon. Thanks for the interview. It was a pleasure.